Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of Morning Star Community Christian Center's Life Study. We come to you every Thursday evening, live and in living color, for another powerful and exciting edition of our Life Study. This is when we take a look at the Bible and we look at the various aspects of it, and we look at various subjects in our lives, and we use the Bible as our foundation to help improve our lives, to help enhance our lives, to help strengthen our lives, to help edify and fortify our lives, all so that we can live better lives. And this evening is no different. And as always, we begin by reminding ourselves of what it is we do. And as you know, we always first up and first off, we take our Bibles and or the digital devices on which we have our Bibles, and we hold them up and we repeat these words after me. This is God's holy word. Receive it, believe it, and achieve it. And we ask you to turn to one of my favorite scriptures, Psalms 150, the last psalm in the book of Psalms, and it is the last verse of that psalm. Verse 6 of Psalm 150, it says, "Let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Praise ye the Lord." And what I want us to be clear about is that when we do our best, when we are at our best, when we do our highest and best, that's when we bring the most praise to God. All right. And we have a very exciting program and very informative program for you on this evening. And you're going to be glad that you tuned in. And as always, we like to remind you, take the first few moments of our program to text somebody, email somebody, call somebody, and tell them that Morning Star's Life Study is on, and to join us, send them the link, if you will, and have them join us. And because they will be blessed. They will be glad that you inform them, especially of tonight's program, where we will be talking about last will and testaments, all right? So again, I remind you, text someone, call someone, let them know, and tell them to text and call someone to let them know it's time for them to tune in. They will be blessed by this evening's program. But first, a couple of announcements that are extremely important that we want you to take note of. The first thing is, you already saw, we put up a flyer that you already saw. It's a flyer regarding our 7 Last Words service. This is a service that is sponsored by our Pastors Coalition, the group of pastors in the Linden Roselle area who have come together to do what we call a service around the 7 last words of Jesus, the 7 last words that he spoke while on the cross, on the day that he was crucified. This service will take place on Friday, April the 7th at 7 p.m. And it's going to take place at First Baptist Church on Dill Avenue in Linden, New Jersey. First Baptist Church on Dill Avenue in Linden, New Jersey. And we're inviting everyone to come out. And we especially want you, our Morning Star family, to come out. Don't miss it. We'll get a chance to meet others who are in the body of Christ. And as we learn who else is walking and working in the vineyard, and it'll be helpful to us along the way. All right, that's April the 7th, Friday evening, April the 7th at 7 p.m. First Baptist Church on Dill Avenue in Linden, New Jersey. Don't miss it. All right, come on out. This coming Friday, Good Friday, beginning at 7 p.m. 7 last words, and 7 of our pastors will be giving 5-minute presentations on each of the, and every pastor is inviting their congregation, and we're trying to bring all of the congregations together to enjoy one another, and as we appreciate in this resurrection season the last words of Jesus. So please don't miss it. That's number one announcement. Number two announcement. Very, very, very important. As you know, at Morning Star, we have a very powerful prayer ministry every morning at 6 a.m. A large number of us, we meet for prayer, and it's a 10-minute prayer, and it's very powerful, and it's open to everyone. We're in the process. Come Monday after Resurrection Sunday, we're changing our numbers. And we're doing this in an effort to reach more people, to give more people access to our prayer line, and so that we can reach more people and have more people involved in praying for clearly, if there's one thing that our community and our nation needs at this point in time, it is more prayer. All right. And the numbers, and we want to begin this process. We're going to be talking about and passing on to you the new numbers for our prayer ministry between now and Monday, right after Resurrection Sunday. That's when we begin. We're going to begin using the new prayer line for us all, Monday, right after Resurrection Sunday. But we're starting the process right now. So if you have a pen or if you have a pencil, get ready to jot it down. I'm going to give it to you right now. And begin the process of passing it on to others. Don't just take it down and keep it to yourself. Take it down and pass it on to others. So the new number when we get started on this, the new prayer line number, the one that we call to participate in the prayer every morning at 6 a.m. The new number, which will begin as of Monday, right after Resurrection Sunday, the new number is 667 770 1224 1224. Got that? 667 770 1224. That's the new prayer line number that will be in use as of Monday morning, right after Resurrection Sunday. Got it? Now, the access code will be 987-4883. 987-4883 pound. 987-4883 pound. Got that? Got the number, got the access code. You'll be hearing it again and again and again and again between now and when we start that new number for our 6 a.m. morning prayer, the first Monday, right after Resurrection Sunday. All right? Those are the two very important announcements. Please take note and please pass it on and let others be aware of it. Now, on this evening, we have a very powerful program for you. And listen, you're gonna have some questions, and if you do, and when you do, you know our process. You go to the chat room and give your question there. Lay out your question there. We have someone there who will take your question, and at the appropriate time after we've taken the opportunity to give out some solid information, and you have questions, you should please begin going to the chat room as soon as you have questions. Don't wait until we get ready to go off the air, which is what too many do, to raise their question. Now, some of you already have questions and you already know what they are. So you know to go to the chat room, register your question so we can be sure to get as many questions answered or responded to as possible. We have some very exciting and informative guests for you. We're going to be talking about last will and testaments. Last will and testament. Nobody has to be told that during in the course of the human condition, there is a time when families and family members can manifest great difficulty, can manifest great distress, and that is at the time of death. Oftentimes, when loved ones make their transition and there has been inadequate preparation for that transition in terms of what the person leaves and to whom they leave it and when and how and under what circumstances. Oftentimes that leads to great difficulty and great distress amongst family members. Last wills and testaments, they help address that. They help make the transition more smooth, if you will. They help to reduce the stress. They help to reduce the friction. They help to reduce things that can add to what is already a difficult time for people. That is a time when a loved one makes their transition. And so this evening's program is about last will and testament. And it's about helping you make possible a smooth, or at least I should say, as smooth a possible situation, as smooth a situation as possible when someone makes their transition. All right, it's a subject that's not always the most popular, and oftentimes we tend to put it off. I know I've put it off longer than I should have myself, in all transparency. But that is being corrected as well, even as we speak. So now, and so in that connection, I'm going to bring now to the microphone and platform and screen our sister Jackie Jenkins, who is the head of our community relations ministry, and she's the head of the ministry that reaches the tentacles of the church out into the community and keeps us in touch with, keeps us in contact with, and keeps us as aware as possible of those things that are going on that our congregation should be aware of and needs to be aware of to help us successfully negotiate our lives in this society. So, Sister Jenkins, thank you so much for your efforts in bringing this program to the Morning Star family. We applaud you. We praise God for you. We thank you for your efforts. And let me turn the microphone over to you. You have some opening comments, some opening statistics, and then you can bring on our brother PJ and our sister Cassandra to carry the program even further. Sister Jackie.
Thank you, Pastor, and good evening, everyone. Yes, my name is Sister Jackie Jenkins, and I have served as the chair and director of the Community Relations Ministry since 2013. Our mission is to connect Morning Star with community resources that bring information, inspiration, and involvement. So tonight I give honor to God so I can once again have the opportunity to bring critical information to my church and community. We will share information that will change your life. During this session, you will have the opportunity to ask questions. Please put your questions in the chat. And we are offering tonight a no obligation free will kit. That's right, a no obligation free will kit that once you drop your email address in the chat, we'll be able to send you that kit free of charge. And our speakers tonight is going to tell you what that kit will do for you. So don't forget to put your email in the chat. And so before I turn the session over to our speakers, Cassandra and PJ, I would like to share some interesting statistics about this life-changing topic. First of all, 77% of African Americans do not have a will. 77%. 25% don't have enough assets. At least they think they don't have enough assets, but 25% don't have. 20% not sure how to create one, and that's what we're going to help you with tonight. 23% think they're too young. Well, we could just look around our community and in our families and see that you don't know when your number is up. You don't know when God's going to call you. And 12% does not want to think about death. They think it's too morbid. They don't want to talk about it. And 9% thinks everything goes to their kin. They just automatically think it's going to go to the kin folks. So everyone over the age of 18 should make a plan. There is no misconception about age, about color. We need it. And tonight, we are pleased to bring you that information. So at this time, I will turn the program over to our brother PJ and our sister Cassandra.
Thank you so much, Sister Jackie, and thank you, Pastor Evans. Appreciate you having us able to sit with everyone and get this information out. So I will go right into sharing the documentation with everyone. And I will briefly run through everything. Again, if there are further questions, we'll be here to, take and answer as many as we can. So the documentation you will be receiving is going to be here on the left side of your screen. Now, on the right side, as I'm going through this, you will be seeing kind of an explanation of the documentation that is on the left side. Again, this will be something that is saving you upwards of, $1,000. No need for a lawyer. It is going to be something, once it is completed and notarized, it does become a legal binding document. So it would hold up in the court of law if necessary. So just going through this is broken down into different articles. At the beginning, we're just talking here about personal information, your basic information. And again, you can see this is the page here on the left that you will be receiving. So this up here is Article 1, your basic information. Article 2 is going to be referring to any debts and expenses that in the next page, there's actually a place where we're able to list those. Now, you're going to see a bunch of lines, the second half of this page. This is where you're going to be listing specific assets or anything that has sentimental value, whether it's financial value, sentimental value. This is going to be something where you're listing those specific accounts, items, whatever those may be, and exactly where you would like them to be going. Now, going on to the next page, at the top, you're going to see, I know it probably looks like a clump of words to you guys, but this is describing digital accounts. The last page of this document, there's going to be a place where you're able to list those. So digital accounts, to give you an example, many people these days have a Netflix and Amazon, different subscriptions that are coming out of their bank accounts. They're tied directly to their bank accounts that are coming out every single month. Now, something happens to you, those don't stop. They're tied to your bank account. Now, family members may have a hard time signing into the account or canceling. Over time, you have a few of them set up. Those will continuously drain your account. So in the appendix, if you will, the last page, there's a place where you can list all of these accounts, usernames, emails, passwords, things of that nature. Again, in an attempt to make it easier when you're no longer able to communicate these things to the people you care about. So the next part you're going to see is just one line here, and that's going to be referring to any of the stuff that you don't consider of financial value, sentimental value, the things you may want to be donated or given to someone or just distributed to different family members, things that aren't necessarily of sentimental or financial value. The next portion is going to be percentages that you see here in the top half of the page with some different lines. This is going to be with regards to your financial accounts. So financial accounts, for example, you have one bank account. You want that bank account evenly divided by two people you leave behind. You would put the bank account 50%, that one person, 50% on the next line. And then, the other person. Now you can divide it up however you would like, as long as the percentages are adding up to 100%. And going on to the next page, this is going to be, the second half of this page, it's talking about executors. So to explain what an executor is, just briefly, these are going to be the people that have a vested interest in carrying out your will the way it is written when you are no longer here. Someone close to you, someone you trust. These will be your executors. Now, there's also a portion if you have minor children, and then also for any pets, you don't want them to be, left stranded. You can make those arrangements down at the bottom half of page 5. Going on to the next section here, it says that there's some places where you can actually list your wishes, that whether it's a earth burial, a cremation, things of that nature. If you have any coverage in place, because again, there's going to be, unfortunately, even when you're gone, there will be expenses. So there's a place where there are an opportunity for you to list any coverages that you might have in place to kind of take care of those things for your family. Again, one of the problems with this topic, it's not necessarily discussed through families. Many people don't know coverages and things of that nature that may be in place. So having them all in one document is definitely very beneficial, and just kind of making losing someone that's close to you a little easier. So very important page, I should say, is going to be the signature page. So having this to become a legal binding document, it needs to be notarized. Having this notarized, needs to be 2 witnesses. Now the witnesses cannot be in your will. So more or less strangers, if you will. If you go to a notary, it's usually a place of business. There will be most often people that are able to be considered witnesses. You just are not able to have it notarized and have a witness be someone who is listed in your will. So you don't want to bring a family member who's listed in your will to have it notarized. It needs to be someone that is not listed in the will. The second half of this document is going to be a living will. So a living will is going to be something that takes effect in extreme circumstances where you're in a state you're not able to communicate with your loved ones. Life support, for example, instead of leaving that very, tough decision to the people you care about the most, you have an opportunity to kind of take care of it for them beforehand. Everything you want to be done if those circumstances do occur, it's here in a living will. So the living will is acting basically as your wishes if you were, say, unable to communicate basically on life support. So again, a very technical term is surrogates. It's very similar to executors. They most likely will be the same people. An executor is with regards to making sure your will is carried out. A surrogate is making sure the living will is being carried out. Again, it's someone very close to you. It's someone making sure that it is being carried out the way it is written. They have your best interest in mind. Now, going on to the next page here, again, there will be a signature page where you're going to have witnesses to have it become a legal binding document and have it notarized. Now, the last page is going to be something I had mentioned on the top of the second page with regards to your digital accounts, the Netflixes, the Amazons, those types of things. This is more or less an example of a place where you can list the accounts, emails, passwords, things of that nature. So over time, they aren't just necessarily draining your accounts. This, again, feel free to email Sister Jackie, or give Sister Jackie, I should say, the email so we are able to get this out to you. Now, I'm going to hand this over to Cassandra, and this is another document that we're going to get to you guys. It is a family information guide. It is going to act as a roadmap for all of your important information that your family will need when you're no longer here. Again, an attempt to make it easier for them. So, Cassandra.
Now,
So
just before, Sister Cassandra, just before you get started, let me just remind our listening and viewing audience that if you have a question, please go to the chat room with your question. Go to the chat room, write out your question, submit it to the chat room, so that when we go to the chat room and ask for questions, yours can be one of those that can be responded to, all right? Now is the time to formulate your questions and submit them to the chat room. Don't wait till the last minute, please, as so many often do, and then we don't get an opportunity to cover them, all right? Go to the chat room now while you're thinking about it. Even if you know, we cover it, you know, repetition is the essence of learning. So don't worry about it if it gets repeated. All right, Sister Cassandra, apologize for the interruption.
no, it's okay. So this is the family information guide. This works in conjunction with your World Kit. So right here, this is the vital statistic and historic data. This is where you would put your full name, your address, you would put your parents' birthplace. In order to get a death certificate, you do need to know your parents' birthplace. So this portion right here is very important to know. The next part is if you are a veteran from the military, you would put the branch that you serve, your service number, the place you were enlisted. And then if you're married, you would put your spouse's vital statistic historical data. Now, once you pass, you would put the person you would want to be notified. You would put it here, you put their name, their address, where they live, the relationship they are to you. And then you would also put the person you would want to be in charge of your final arrangements. Where you see that, where it says the last will and testament, you would put that you have a last will and testament, and then you would fill it out because we're currently going to give you one. And then in the portion where it says estate information, this is where you're going to fill out all the policies that you currently have to pay out for your final expense. One thing you should know is that if you don't put it in, there is 2 billion policies that go unclaimed every year, and it goes back to the state because the families don't know that. So your family's paying for a policy, and then if you don't put it on here, your family won't know that they have it. It'll go right back to the state, and unfortunately, your family won't receive that fund. The next portion here is where you put your bank account information. You'll put all the bank accounts that you have. And then if you have a safety deposit box, you would put your safety deposit box information here too. Now, the last portion is your funeral service request. So you would put the funeral home that you want to get buried at. You would put if you want to get cremated or do an earth burial. You want to put if you want jewelry or if you want to wear glasses. You would also put, you put like any special instructions that you want for your funeral.
So this will be, again, available to anyone as long as we are able to have Sister Jackie give us anyone's email. Again, we're happy to answer any questions as well with regards to either of those documents. Both documents are in PDF form, which is basically just saying it's a computer document. You can fill it in right on the computer. It's nice and neat. If you want to type it in, you also have the ability to print them out and handwrite them in. So it gives you some options. I would say at the end of the day, like Sister Jackie was saying at the beginning, it doesn't really matter who you are, but technically we all need one because no one here, unfortunately, will be here forever. So it can be updated over the years, but it's never too early to have something in place. Again, it's just going to make that whole process for the people you're leaving behind a lot easier, to be honest, instead of them searching everywhere for simple information, which when they're in an emotional state can be very difficult, frustrating. These documents make that whole process a little easier for them. So I believe that is all we have, Pastor Evans.
Okay. Sister Jackie, any
I have a question.
Yeah, yeah.
PJ, after they send me their email and I send it to you, how long should they expect for the package to show up in their email, in their inbox?
Depending on the amount and when we receive, but within 24 hours, I would say, if I'm receiving emails, we'd be able to get them out within, 24 hours.
Okay. And can you speak a little bit more about how the state will absorb your assets if you don't do a particular thing like what we're talking about? Can you speak on that a little more?
So, so when it comes to your, like, if you have final expense in place, if your family doesn't claim it within a year, it goes back to the state. If your family doesn't know that you have final expense in place, the state won't go out and reach out to your family and be like, hey, God forbid, your sister had a policy in place. Do you want to claim it? They'll never say that. So your sister has to put it down on the family information guide that she had a policy in place for your family to claim it. If not, it'll just go back to the state and they'll spend it on whatever they spend it on.
So I'm sorry. Did you want to go further, Sister
No.
Jackie?
I'm sorry. I'm good, Pastor.
So are you saying, Sister Cassandra, that you could have a family member who makes their transition,
Mhm.
and they've had a policy, they've been paying, but nobody else in the family knew about it, and nobody claims it, that the money that they have spent will go to the state, will claim it.
Yep.
And family members will not get it
Correct.
because they're not aware of it.
Yes.
Hmm.
This is why it's important that you put it in your will and in your family information guide. It's very important that you put that in there so your family will know. Even if you're very secretive and you don't want people to know that you have a policy, at least that if it's in your will, then they'll know to go and call the insurance company and claim it rather than it going back to the state.
Yeah. And did I hear you mention that there are some? Did I hear you mention that there are some $2 billion
Dollars worth of life insurance policies every year that goes unclaimed, that goes right back to the state.
And do you have any idea about what happens to where does this money go? What does the state do with this money? Or they just use it for the general treasury or what? I mean, what they or what? I mean, I just have no idea.
I'm not quite sure what they do with it, and I don't think that they'll ever expose what they do with that money.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's more of like someone going in and doing like they're doing research and they're realizing that at least this amount goes unclaimed and the state just takes it back. And then
Yeah.
whatever the state does with it, they don't really expose what they do with that money. Rather it going to your family, it goes right back to the state.
And how much time does one have? Like this family member who's had this policy they've been paying, but
Mhm.
nobody knew about it. How much time does the family have to claim that before the state claims it, saying that nobody has spoken up?
An entire year,
1 year.
1 year.
Okay. 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 That year can go by real quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So look, let's check with Brother Terry to see if we have any questions in the chat room before we go any further. Brother Terry, anybody with any question?
Yes, so I had a couple of questions, Pastor. The first question is, my husband and I have our wills done and just need to have them notarized and the 2 witnesses. How do we go about this?
Okay. Brother Palakis?
It would depend on the documentation itself without knowing specifically, but if it is proper documentation, the will documentation that is currently filled out, having it notarized is as simple as going to a local notary. Most places such as like a UPS or a post office or things like that, banks are usually notaries, or they have a notary within them. And then again, a place of business will most likely have people that aren't in the will. So they're able to be considered witnesses so that it can be notarized.
Okay.
Brother PJ, is it a conflict? I'm a notary. And I just, I like to bless my people in the church. Is it a conflict for me to notarize? If someone calls on me to notarize their last will and testament?
There's no problem as long as you're not listed in the will anywhere.
Okay. I don't think I will be. Okay. All right. So you all know how to reach me. Once that paperwork is done, I'll be more than pleased and happy to notarize your documents.
Okay. Next question, Brother Terry.
Okay, does the free will kit include space for guardianship information when it comes to including a child, young adult, or adult with a disability?
There is a portion for minor children and dependents, yes. So someone with a disability would be considered a dependent, to clarify.
Okay.
Okay. Can I just throw in here, when is the right time, or should I say the best time, to have your last will and testament done?
As soon as possible. As soon as you get the email, you get it done. Don't wait.
So, and I'm speaking in general.
In general,
Yeah.
I've done research where they said as soon as you turn 18, it's the best time to have it because you start having your own personal assets. So
Okay.
whether or not they're still small and they don't mean anything, you should still have a will
Okay.
as soon as you turn 18.
Okay. So very young. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because as an 18-year-old, you want to be an adult and you want to get your own car. You might want to have your own bank, have your own savings. if something were to happen to you, where is it gonna go? If you don't have a will, your family will fight over it.
Right. Got it.
Mhm.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Got it. Let's go and see if Brother Terry has anything else for us. Brother Terry?
What if a person has more accounts than the 2 or 3 lines listed on the family info sheet? How or where should additional accounts be listed?
So the family information guide itself is more of a guideline. The will documentation is something that can be notarized, should be notarized. The family information guide is more of a helpful document. Now, however you would want to say list those accounts. Again, it's getting all of the information together on one form instead of having the people you leave behind looking here, there, and everywhere. And as we know from Cassandra, that a lot of things that are unknown, unfortunately, may never be known, and they go places they shouldn't be going. And it's more important just to kind of have all of the information together in one spot on one form. Now, if you want to attach another page, kind of, explaining additional accounts and things of that nature, it would be, I would say, a good place to start.
Mhm, mhm. And where do you keep this in a safety deposit box or in a safe or in a bank? Where do you keep this?
All of the above, anywhere. You can make copies of these documents as well, and the people that are, say, executors, the people carrying out the will when the time does come, they have a copy of these documents in their safe. Or, it's, again, in an effort to make everything easier. I'm sure most people on the call have dealt with losing someone close to them, and understand that if these documents were in place, if they weren't, how much easier that tough emotional process may have been to kind of get through everything.
Mhm.
Somewhere that is known, I guess, would be important, Pastor Evans. Somewhere that your family is able to find the documentation, and it never hurts to kind of give the people closest to you copies.
Right. Who should we select as the person to be in charge of our will? Or who should be our executor? How do we go about selecting an executor? What should be the criteria? You follow my question?
100%.
Yeah, okay.
My recommendation would be, ask yourself the question, who do I trust the most that has my best interest at heart when I'm no longer here, right? Whether that is significant other, relatives, friends, the answer is very different for everyone. But if everyone asks themselves that question, you should come up with a person or two that you would list as your executor.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. Sister Jackie, anything?
Yes, I'm getting texts also, Pastor. People are not that savvy trying to get their question in the chat.
Mhm.
So I saw one that I didn't hear Brother Terry mention. Let's see.
Well, he can only do one at a time now.
I know, right? We can only chew gum and walk at the same time. I know, right? It's funny that they wait to the end. They wanted to know, correct me if I'm wrong, Brother Terry, they wanted to know about trusts over the wills for those with large assets.
Mhm.
And that's all I got.
They,
It's-
oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Brother Caracas. Go ahead.
They act this in the same fashion. So you're going to have beneficiaries of a trust. Now, those beneficiaries of a trust are most likely would be the same as your executors of a will. There's the terminology kind of, they run into each other because they're very similar in what they are doing. So if you have a trust, most likely you do have will documentation within that trust. But they're very similarly related.
Mhm. Okay. Okay.
And,
Uh,
and I'm sorry,
ahead.
Pastor.
No, go ahead.
Another question, the living will versus the will. They have a will, but do they need to have someone in charge of their finances if they are physically and mentally unable to care for themselves? So I guess
Right.
they want to know the difference between that living will versus the will.
Well, the living will is something that you would register with your primary care doctor. This is something that if you can't speak or if you are in a vegetated state, you know, some people don't want to be on life support based off their religion. So they would put that in the living will. Like, I don't want to be on life support. Don't resuscitate me. That's something that they put in their living will, and they register that with their primary care doctor. I'm not sure if that really goes with their finances.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what the living will is, something you register with your hospital or your primary care doctor, and you have a healthcare proxy as well. So they can make decisions for you when you can't communicate.
And I have been asked, do you have a living will? I've been asked that by my primary. Do I have a living will? So I
Yes.
would set that up with my primary doctor. She has the paperwork.
Yes, so
Yes?
you do a healthcare proxy, which is
Uh-huh.
that's someone that will make the decisions for you, and then you'll have a living will as well. So it's two separate documents. A healthcare proxy, the hospital will give you that.
Okay.
That's someone that you would choose to make the decisions for you that you can't make when you can't talk, or you're unconscious, or you're in a vegetated state. But the living will is where you state whether or not you would want to be on life support, whether or not you would want to be resuscitated, whether or not you would want certain medications, or if you want to donate this or donate that. That's the living will.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right.
A lot of people don't have healthcare proxies. That's not something that we do, but it's something you should have with your hospital, with your primary care doctor. Because if you don't have one, then the state takes over again. Even if your family's there, the state will still take over if you don't have a healthcare proxy
Mm,
to make the decisions.
mm, mm. Interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting. So, Brother Terry, how we doing? How we doing?
I had a question, Pastor. We were pretty clear on the questions. So Cassandra is not sufficient. Let's say if I have one child, it's
Mhm.
not sufficient for me to say to my child, "Hey, I never want to be on life support." I actually need paperwork.
Yes,
Got it. Okay.
you could tell them, but if it's not written down, the doctors will fight your child because they're going to try to save you. That's their job. Their
Okay.
job is to save you.
Okay.
So your child can say, no, my dad doesn't want to be on life support. They won't listen unless you have it written down in your living will and you have it registered with your primary care doctor.
Okay.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Okay. Well, we're up against the, when you're having fun, time flies. And we're up against the time frame. So let's review, recap, and reemphasize. Now, so people who want more information, people who want the free kit that Brother PJ and Sister Cassandra can provide, what should they do, Sister Jackie, Brother PJ, what should they do, those who want to pursue this further and who want the free kit, what should they do?
So from my understanding, Sister Jackie will be getting us a list of emails. So again, having Sister Jackie have a good email for us to be able to send that to you directly. My contact information as well as Cassandra's will be within the email. So if there's more specific questions that you want more clarification on, you can feel free to reach out to us as well. So just getting the email, best contact through email
Yeah.
to Sister Jackie.
And that's what I've gathered this evening. I love when Pastor gives us instructions about go to the chat room, put your question in, and everybody texts me. So I don't know, I can't explain that one, but we have about 15 emails for you, PJ. So they'll be coming in the next couple of days.
Yeah. Okay. So, Brother PJ, Sister Cassandra, closing remarks, closing comments.
I think that having a will is something that you need to get done as soon as possible. Like you said, we don't know, on our birth certificate, it says when we're born, but it doesn't tell us our expiration date. So we'll never know. So it's always something to have in place as soon as possible, rather than have our families fall apart over material things. That's my closing.
Brother PJ?
I don't know if I can say anything better, but I just want to thank everyone for, having Sister Jackie, having us be able to speak with you guys, Pastor Evans, for allowing us to try and help as many people with something, unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to think about, but take care of it once, put it away. Again, it's always something that can be updated in time. So you're not tied to one will that was filled out, over the years. Would need to update, but don't wait to at least get something in place. It doesn't solve anything. It makes things worse potentially if something does happen and you don't have anything in place. So
Yeah. Okay. Sister Jackie, closing comments?
Only to tell everyone, don't try to wait till you get rich to put that last will and testament in. It doesn't matter if you have a lot of assets or a few assets. It goes to your family. They're entitled to it. You don't want the state trying to take a piece of your money when you've worked hard for it, or your assets. So big or small, just get it in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. The state takes enough while you're alive. Why give them more when you die?
Right.
And plus that, no, as far as we know, and maybe some others know something that we don't know, but as far as we know, nobody gets out of this life alive. And we're all gonna make a transition. And so that it is as peaceful as possible, and so that we leave a situation that is as peaceful as possible. A last will and testament would be helpful to all of us. I've attended and I've spoken and eulogized a large number of people. And sometimes what happens at funerals is not so pleasant. And oftentimes it's not so pleasant because things are not clear as a result of the death of the person who has made their transition. And it all revolves around, as I've heard Sister Cassandra say on a number of occasions, it all revolves around, lack of clarity around material things. And this will help alleviate that and prayerfully will eliminate that. And so I urge us to do it. I urge us to get and secure and have it made official, a last will and testament. We will be better off for it. And certainly our families will be. Right? It's not about how much, it's about the process and the peace that results therefrom. And with that, I want to thank all of you who have, well, first of all, I want to thank our guests for taking the time to be with us and to lend to us their expertise and their knowledge, and to give to us their time and to afford us what from their experience. I want to thank Brother PJ, Sister Cassandra, for the work that they have done, for the work that they are doing, and for the work that they will do with those who will get in touch with them moving forward. Thank you, Sister Jackie, for rounding them up and bringing them to us. And as always, Brother Terry, thank you for the work that you do on a regular basis. And thank all of you for being with us on this evening. And so, and I ask you to remember the announcements, the 7 Last Words service for Good Friday, 7 p.m. at First Baptist Church in Linden. And remember the numbers for the change of our prayer line. And also remember, this Sunday is Communion Sunday. It's the first Sunday, and it's also Palm Sunday. It's also Palm Sunday, the Sunday prior to Resurrection Sunday. So between here and there, between here and Sunday, I want you to remember to be careful, continue to be healthy, continue to be safe, and most of all, continue to be blessed. And we will see you on Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. sharp. Be blessed.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Terry.